Hello guys, this is CodeNCode and this is first lecture of C++ design series, design pattern series, right? And in this lecture, we are going to learn about the factory method pattern. We'll learn what is factory method pattern, what it does, when to use it, what are the benefits of using it, right? And what are the situations or pitfalls of factory method pattern, right? So all of that we are going to cover with implementation, of course, and I'll also provide you the code with it so you can play around with that and learn more, right? So let's get started. The first question is, what is factory method pattern, right? Simple enough. It's one of the creational design pattern. Since this is a creational design pattern, it lets you create objects, right? So as a creational design pattern, its primary job is to provide the logic of how objects are instantiated or created in your application. Simple enough, right? But there are multiple creational design patterns. So what makes it different from the other creational design patterns? So the use case of it. So first of all, it provides you an interface, right? Or an abstract class, and provides a method that does the job of creating the object. But in the abstract class, it does not provide the actual logic to create an object, that it delegates to the other factories, like the subclasses. So if I have, let's say, a button, right, for I'm building a GUI application, right? So I have a button in that, right? So the button can be rendered on different platform differently, right, using different business logic, of course. If you're rendering it on HTML page, the business logic is different. If you are rendering the same on the Mac OS, the business logic to draw a button there is different, right? So same goes for Windows or Linux, right? So what it does, it creates a button as a, a, a parent class, or you can say abstract class, and then it provides a method, but it does not, it just provides a method, a virtual method, and all of the implementation logic goes into the subclasses, like Mac button, right? Windows button, Linux button, HTML button. Now these classes will actually override the method and provide the logic to create that button, right? So that's exactly what it does. Okay, so that is your factory method pattern. So the very important part of learning any design pattern is to know when to use it. Okay, so what is the important part of the uh, of factory method pattern is that, before I explain you this, let me show you what problem does it solve. It solve, of course, the tight coupling. Now what is tight coupling? If I show you here, let's say I have notification, right? A notification parent class or abstract class, right? uh, and it provides a method to send notification via multiple channels. For example, email push notification, let me just close this, push notification and SMS notification. So the notification can be sent through multiple channels, right? So if I wanted, this is my main class, if I wanted to send an email notification, what I can do, since I have email notification object, right? So there is a notification, multiple implementation of it, because we have multiple ways to send notification, one of which is email notification. Let's say I wanted to send an email notification. What I have to do is that I create notification, my bad, not notification, email notification, let's say notification, and to send it, I'll do something like this. Dot send. Since we have send method, I'll say that job done, something like that, right? So if you run it, you'll see email sent, job done. Okay, now let's say that this is the place where I have created an object of email notification, right? So let's say in future the requirement comes that while you are creating an object of email notification, you also have to pass what protocol you are going to use, right? So email notification, std string, and let's say I need protocol with it, right? I'm not going to provide the actual implementation. I'm not going to use it, but I'm giving you an example. Let's say in future the requirement comes that now when you define an email object, you have to provide which protocol it's going to use, right? Now if you go back to your main class, boom, there's an error, right? Because the logic of creation of object has changed now, right? Because now it needs a protocol, right? So let's say we are passing p1 and now it works, right? So you see the issue is that the client, which is main class as of now, is tightly coupled with email notification. Same goes for any other notification type or any other object that we are talking about, in which we are going to apply the factory method pattern. So wherever you have used it, if you change the logic of creation of object, that class is going to fail. If I go back here, if you see here, initially, let's say class A, class B, class C, all of were using email notification. You see, notification and is equal to new email notification. All of them, if you change the logic of creating an object, by logic I mean if you made some changes like change the parameter of it, all of these classes will have error. You have to go there and change it. Okay, so you see there are tight coupling. There is tight coupling, and that results into when you make a change into original class, that is email notification as of now, right? All of the other you need to modify, so it violates the open close principle of solid principle, which is to open for extension, close for modification. It should not modify the other classes, but we see other classes needs to be modified. And this is exactly what the what to say the factory method pattern solves. How it solves it, let's say instead of doing this, so you see, you have a notification, right? Let me just change first of all this. I don't want it. I was just giving an example. So you have a notification abstract class and multiple subclasses of it, right? Email notification, push notification, SMS notification, right? So for each of this, what you can do, you can create a factory. A factory is a class that provides you that instantiates that object, right? For example, email notification factory will instantiate email object and will give to you. Okay, so what you do, since you have notification and there are multiple implementation of that, you can create a notification factory, right? And provide a method. This is called factory method. What it does, it creates that kind of object. What it does, it returns notification, because of course all of these objects are off type notification. So you can return notification from here in the abstract class, in the abstract factory class, right? And just add a method that returns that object. Like if you're talking about I was talking about button, so it would return a button, not GUI, not HTML button, Mac button, but a button parent class, right? It would return that, and just name it whatever you want. Create object, right? Instantiate, right? Anything you want, right? So this is the abstract factory, or sorry, not abstract factory, factory method pattern. So this is a method which does the job of factory, that means creation, right? So that's why we call it factory method pattern. So all you have to do is, for notification, if you want to instantiate different notification, just you can create notification factory, provide a method, don't provide the implementation of it. Do you remember we learned something up here, that it provides it provides a method and delegates the creational logic to the subclasses. That's exactly what we are going to do here. So we have defined a factory method, right? And now for each different notification, you can create a factory. For example, for email notification, you can create email notification factory who would override this method. Of course, you have to extend or inherit the notification factory, right? And then you need to override this method. Okay, and here you can provide the logic of creating email notification. Simple enough, right? Similarly, for push notification, you will do the exact same thing. Override the method, return push notification, and then for SMS notification, you override the method and send the create an object of SMS notification and return it. Right now, I was giving you an example of this that if the way if you are adding a new, let's say, field to it, all of this will fail because of the tight coupling. How it solves it, let me give you another example. So my bad, not this, cancel this. Let me give you example again and check. For example, email notification, right? E1, let's see, email notification E2, email notification E3. I'm simulating the thing that we have multiple classes in which we are instantiating the object. You can understand this: class A, class B, class C, all of the places we are using this, right? And now suddenly I decided that we need to pass the protocol also. So email notification, I need to provide a string. I wouldn't call it text, I would call it protocol, let's say. Okay, now all of the classes, my bad, my mouse is not working properly. All of the classes, like class 1, class 2, class 3, as I said, this is just a way to explain you, right? These are not classes. I have defined all of them here. What I'm trying to explain you, wherever you have used it, all of them are going to fail, right? So instead of doing that, you have email notification factory. Instead of doing this, if you have changed anything in the parameter of the email notification, all you have to do is update the factory. if you are using factory pattern. I'll show you how it helps. Okay, so without using factory, we see that there is going to be an issue, right? Instead of doing that, if we had used a factory, how it's going to help, let me show you. Here you see I am using a factory which is email notification factory, and using this I am creating a notification which would be of course a email notification because I have used email notification factory. So I have created one notification, right? So as of now, if I make changes to email, even the notification factory is going to fail, right? So even this is going to fail, right? So what is the benefit of it? Benefit I'll explain in a moment. Come back here. So if let's define notification 2 and notification 3. This simulates that we are in a different class, or there are different places where we have instantiated the email notification, right, using the factory, but this time. So you see, even this code is not going to run because error, right? Because the factory, the way it is instantiating is not the right way. You have to pass the protocol. Let's say p1 protocol. And now if you see here, in the main class where we had actually defined all of the object, it is going to work. My bad. uh, just a second. Factory. Okay, I need to, just a second, finish with execution. Come back here. The thing is that just in front of the monitor I have this camera setup, so I'm not able to read it. Oh, I can actually, yeah, program this one, this one, this one. Why is that so? This is definitely not the error because of the factory, I'll tell you that. So I have notification 2 and notification 3. All of them should have worked perfectly. Just let me just check. Since the error is not telling us a lot of things, even now we are getting an error. Maybe we have made some changes. It depends on notification factory, yes, and email notification, absolutely right. So see line, it's actually not giving us a lot of detail why it is failing. Look, here it is. So undefined reference, yeah, email notification. Undefined reference to email notification with a character. If I go back here, it's saying that there is some error in here. So I'm expecting, right? Okay, now it should work. No error, right? So the issue was that I haven't properly defined the constructor. Okay, that was the issue. As I said, it's not the issue because of the factory. Now I was telling you that if you have defined, if you had created an object using the factory, and there is some changes in the parameter of the email, the object that we are trying to instantiate, you don't have to make changes in the client. All you have to do is make change at one place, that is the factory. Just update the factory and the code in the client works perfectly fine. If you see here, if I just send a message using email, you see, welcome to the course, right? So this, what it promotes is loose coupling. So the client, whichever is using the factory to create an object of a particular notification, is now not worried about the logic of creation of notification or any object of that matter, right? So this way it promotes loose coupling, so they are not worried about it. If you made some changes in the original class, all you have to do is update its factory. No matter at 100 places you have used, you have instantiated the email notification, you don't have to update those 100 files. And that is the benefit of using factory method pattern. It promotes loose coupling. Okay, so how you implement it, as I said again, let's say you have notification and multiple types of notification. You can create a notification factory, provide a method. Don't provide the logic here because the logic will change based on the notification type. Okay, and now for each different types like push, email, notification, just create a factory of that. Make sure you are uh, extending in, I majorly use Java in the development, so that's why extending. But make sure you are implementing or inheriting from the main factory, that is notification factory in this case, and just override the method and provide just create the object there, right, and return. Simple. So if some changes come, all you have to do is update the factory, not the client code, right? So this way we are promoting loose coupling, right? So this is how you implement the factory method pattern. Beside this, the issue that comes with the factory method pattern is that uh, it the possibility of class explosion. That means huge number of classes. So you see, for each different object, right, if different class, you need each one factory for each different class, and that becomes an issue if the object creational logic is not very complex. Sometimes the logic is very complex. For example, if you are creating a connection object with the database, right, any kind of internet connection, or there are a lot of things, right? So sometimes the object creational logic is complex, then using factory method pattern there makes sense. But if all you are doing is using the new operator, or creating new object using the smart pointers, right, it doesn't make sense to use a lot of factories, right? And if you know the number of classes are not going to increase, and the instantiation logic is very simple, so in that case you can also use the simple factory. What it does, for example, I will give you another example. Let's say I have a compiler, right? I have compiler. All it does is compile the code. You provide the code, it compiles it, right? So I have that is compiler, and I have different kind of compiler like C++, Java, Python, right? So what I can do, I can define a compiler factory like I have done here, and then I can define the subclasses of CPP compiler factory, Java compiler factory, Python compiler factory, right? I can do that, right? But there's another way you can handle the same, is that use the simple factory, in which the in the factory, instead of defining it as an abstract class, right, you can provide directly a static method there, and just by the type of it, create an object of that type and return it. This is to be used in simple cases when you know the class is not going to increase, like the number of compiler type is not going to be huge. In today's case there is, because a lot of compilers are there, like a lot of languages are there, right? But if you know in your use case the class is not going to be huge, like 5 6 classes are going to be there at max, you can use simple factory. Just provide a factory called compiler factory, or let's say if it was GUI button, you can say button factory, right? And just based on the type, I have also defined the compiler type here. It could be C++, Java, Python, right? Based on the type, you can instantiate that object and return it, right? As simple as that. This is a simple factory, and it makes your code a bit more readable. Okay, so the issue with this one, first of all, we are learning factory method pattern, and this is not factory method. This is factory method. Okay, this is factory method. And again, this whole code is available on GitHub. I'll provide you a link, so you can go ahead and take a look at that. This, what I'm explaining, is the simple factory, and there are scenarios where you can use it to make your code more readable and, yeah, easy to maintain, right? So the issue with this one is that it violates the open close principle, because if you have a new compiler type, you have to update this file. Okay, and yeah, and of course the SRP, single responsibility principle. So each class should be responsible for one thing only. They should have only one reason to change. Okay, unfortunately, for each different compiler type, you have to update the logic here for creating a new compiler type, right? So it violates open close principle and SRP, but it makes your code more readable and maintainable, right? So use this if the situation is simple. Use that. If that is not the case, that means the number of classes are going to be more, right? And of course the class instantiation logic is not very simple, then also. Okay, so yeah, this is how you can implement factory method pattern. And also, just for the sake of it, I have also explained how you can use simple factory. Okay, so yeah, this is it for this lecture. If you have any doubt, comments, suggestion, right, you can always post it down in the comment section. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and till the next video drops, keep coding. Thank you.